typically work in reality television, which obviously utilizes a lot of, we try and utilize cloud workflow as best we can. One of the shows that I was doing, we were shooting in various different parts of the country, but we had to post everything within 48 hours back here in Los Angeles. And try as we might, and I think you mentioned it, Jim, the broadband is obviously became our problem. The upload speeds were just not quick enough for us to be able to upload it to a site for our editors back here to work with. So based in that, as a line producer, when I'm budgeting these projects and looking at these new technologies, what are some of the technologies that exist today that financially are realistic, that I can get through a boss? There's media managers, there's, all of these sorts of things that really do help you in the long run, that are justified expenses.
I think, well, in the States, a lot of times, again, not to sound like a broken record, but planning, again, I'm going to assume a lot of luxury, so, stop me but if you know where you're going to be, you'd be surprised with how many co-location centers there are all over this country, because no matter what, people use the internet pretty much everywhere for the most part nowadays. So if you're in any kind of proximity to at least a metro area of some kind, there's going to be some kind of co-location service in all these places. And, for example, Disney just did a movie in Kampala, Uganda, where broadband, as you might imagine, is not a priority. So, but we still had to get dailies back every day for the executives here, no matter what. And the biggest pipe was 20 meg. So that's it. That's basically, I think, using all of Kampala's internet. We took it. But we were able to do that by, you have to just, from the starting stage, say you're not getting your DNX media, that way. It's just not going to happen. You're going to get picks. Yeah. That's how you're going to do your review. This is different than what you're talking about. But in the States, co-location is a really useful tool, and going to different internet providers ahead of time and saying, like, I'm going to be here for this amount of time. I just need a closet to push my stuff off this laptop to wherever you need to push it to, whatever transport method you're using, a Sparrow or however you're doing it, you send it, or whatever your flavor is. You'd be surprised how they will give you that access for that little bit of time, and it's cost effective. It's, again, you have to weigh what your priority is. If getting it there is going to save you more money because it makes it so that you can get the job done quicker, reviewed faster, and push through your pipeline or your workflow, with speed, then it's worth, in my opinion, the money, because then you at least, getting decisions made usually is what helps keep things flowing. So that's my answer. Co-location is probably your best bet, at least at this point.
Let me layer on with that one. And I was dealing with this going back to 2002 with the advent of digital dailies. And as you can imagine, 2002, we all looked like, Kuala Lumpur, where were you?
Kampala.
The U.S. had similar constraints. And there were times when you're just not going to get your production footage, your raw production footage. But you can send proxies. If the issue is executive review and approval, did you get the shot, essentially? Did you get the performance? Did you get the shot? There's a number of ways to accomplish that. And we would always help our clients find a service in the city. Because they were counting on us as a service provider, not just to provide a cloud-based daily solution, but how's it going to work? How do we get connectivity? And sometimes we were calling hotels, and we were calling co-location providers, and we were calling telcos, anything to help. So they're out there. The resources are out there. If it's important enough to get the footage back same day, then somebody on your crew will have to do the homework and figure out how to do it. But it's certainly doable.
And the other thing too, not to interrupt, but the other thing too is like where your client is back here, might have, or is probably going to have some kind of robust internet connectivity, right? So it's just a matter of you getting it somewhere where they can pull it down, which is where a service like this comes in handy. Because if you can get to a colo in each of those cities and at least push it to somewhere where it's like, okay, it's there, grab it whenever you need to grab it, or here, you just got an alert that that's there for you to grab, then it's off your desk, then you can move on. But telcos in every major, not major city, but cities, usually in the smaller places, they're a lot more friendly and easier to deal with anyway, and they will be more likely.
In New York?
Yeah, it's so easy.
That's also where cloud computing has changed sort of the paradigm of how you do things, because it used to be, you need to get the file to me, right? And there's a bunch of technologies that were developed around this. Launch it at one person, they receive it, and then that file transaction is done. And now with shared cloud infrastructure, you do just have to get it up there, and then it's about opening access to the right people for the right amount of time. Anywhere in the world, they can pull it down, and that changes the whole workflow, really.
The other thing